Hi, my name is Zoe, and for my oceanography project, I did the creatures that live in the deep of the ocean and how they survive there. The reason that I decided to do this, or one of the biggest reasons that I did, was because I've traveled a lot, and I've been to countries ranging from Scotland to Ethiopia, all over the place, and I've seen a lot of mysteries and wonders of the world. However, one of the most important and interesting ones to me is the bottom of the ocean, but nobody's actually ever been there. Um, so I learned about a lot of different things having to do with creatures living in the depths of the ocean. I've learned about six-gilled sharks. They have six gills, so it allows them to breathe easier in the deep because there's less oxygen. I learned about giant squid that live 10,000 feet below the surface, and they have tentacles as long as 33 feet that can stretch to get their prey. Um, One of the most important things about understanding how animals live in the depths of the water is understanding what the conditions of the deep of the ocean is. So one of the most important ones is the high pressure that it has. If a human ever even tried to go to the deep without being in the protection of a submarine, they would be immediately crushing to themselves because the pressure is so high. Although humans can't do this, the creatures living there have been able to adapt to the pressure of the deep by developing membranes and proteins that work in pressure-resistant ways. And one of these things that helps their proteins and membranes be able to be there and not crash in on themselves, it's something called piezolytes. And one of these piezolytes is called PMAO. And it's one of the most interesting things about this is not only does it work to adjust creatures' biomolecules in the deep and allow them to live in these high-pressure waters, PMAO is also what gives fish the fishy smell that we all know and most of us don't really like that much. And the deeper that fish live in the water, the more they smell like this. The more they smell like this than the fish that live at the surface. One of the other important things and the conditions of the deep is the lack of light that's there. So it is completely dark in the deep. No, can't see unless there's some type of light. So what animals in the deep have evolved to have is something called bioluminescence, which is the ability to make light without using heat. And an example of one of the fish that uses this is called the Pacific viper fish, and they have a little light on their stomach that attracts prey. And this, it sounds a lot like, and it is, the fish from Finding Nemo. It's the reason I was so interested in that fish. And yeah, so it's just crazy what these animals have been able to do without any light. Another example of a fish that has adapted to the light is called the spookfish. And it looks like they have four eyes, but really they only have two. And they have like a little mirror under their eye, which reflects light off until they can see. Another important thing to understand in the deep is the temperature in the deep. Well, at the surface, the normal temperature is about 20 degrees Celsius or higher. When you go deeper, it's negative 1 degree Celsius to 4 degrees Celsius, and that's really cold. But fish, again, have adapted to this, and one of the examples of this is the wolffish pair. And what the wolffish pair have been able to do is that they have this anti-freeze system in their bodies that allows their blood to continuously flow, even though there's freezing waters and normally our blood would not flow there. Another important thing is there's not a lot of food in the deep. But what animals, most of it is carcasses that float down from the surface, so like whale carcasses, sharks, stuff like that. And what these little fish do is they bury themselves inside the carcasses and eat them from their insides out, basically. So another important thing then to realize is that these fish are made to live in the deep, but they are not made to live at the surface. Researchers have tried to take the fish to the surface, but it hasn't worked at all. They almost die immediately because their biomolecules, their proteins, they're not built to live at the surface. So that's my project. I have a lot of fun doing it, and yeah, okay, thanks for watching.